What's going on, guys? The NBA playoffs are here. We have the bracket. We actually got a couple games in already. There's been some great games and some great series that are going to be coming on the way. We're going to get right into it in this new episode. Let's go. What is going on, spectators? Welcome back to another episode. Today, we are going to be going over the NBA playoffs and the bracket and all of the matchups that are going to be going on. My name is Julian. I'm here with my boy Brooklyn. As always, what's going on, big fella?
Not much, man. Happy Easter to everybody. Hope you're doing good, Jew. Ready to get back into it with another week. Like you said, the playoffs started and they jumping. We got some dope games already happening, and it's setting up for some spicy series.
Yeah, and so what we're gonna do today, we're instead of going over the games that happen and the games that might or will be, because that's fun and all, right? That's fun and all. We do that a lot.
Tight, tight.
But there's something that I wanted to do today that I think is gonna be kind of sick as well. So what we're gonna do is Brooklyn's gonna take over the East. I'm gonna take over the West. We're gonna bounce back and forth, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over what it's gonna take for every single team to be able to win the NBA championship. And, not every team is, actually capable of doing it. But if there was a path for this team to do it, we're going to discuss that today. Sound good, Brick? You ready?
Sounds great. You want me to start it off?
Yeah, I want you to start it off. Start with the East and give me that 8 seed.
The 8th seed, as everybody knows, is the Atlanta Hawks. And this isn't one of the teams that I think could make it out and actually make a run.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said,
If
if
they
there
were.
was a path,
If there were.
if there was a path, the first thing they need to do is thaw out Trey Young because that man is solid as a brick from the first game.
Just the first
And we
game.
can't have that. We can't have that. And we know Trey Young, he gonna bounce back. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. But also this team don't got a good defense. They don't got a good defense at all. I
They're
believe they are about
26th in
like
defense.
yeah, the bottom half and way at the bottom of the barrel too. And you can't do that. So for them to really make a run, they're gonna need to stop a nosebleed at that. And then the duo of John Collins and Trey Young gonna have to run the floor and be that dynamic, high flying perimeter threat inside dominant duo. And that's the only path that I really see making work. So
Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. If they can if they can make a defensive improvement over the playoffs and actually like play defense, just we were preserving it in the regular season, and then all of a sudden be like elite defensively, this team could be very dangerous. They have one of the best
yep,
offenses in the league, especially with Trey Young. Like you have that elite scorer. It's going to take a lot though. So I agree with you.
yeah.
Moving over to the West, for me, the New Orleans Pelicans are the 8 seed. They have one of the toughest matchups ever against this number one seed Phoenix Suns, who are
Yeah.
terrifying. The Pelicans have a couple things going right for them right now. They're playing with an extreme amount of confidence. They've been playing pretty good basketball the last month of the year. I mean, there was a point where they were several games back of everybody. They were very behind. They made that CJ McCollum trade. He gets there. He brings a leadership, a veteran swagger. He winds up scoring 25 on the year and easily their best scorer, especially in a year where Brandon Ingram kind of took a step back. There was no Zion. The fact that they didn't have Zion and Brandon Ingram just didn't fully play like anybody wanted. I think it was his worst efficiency season of his career to this point. They're in a good spot in terms of getting into the playoffs without Zion. Now, that's a whole different conversation for their future, whether he stays or not. But if they're going to make it to the championship and win the whole thing, they are going to need Brandon Ingram to truly step up and be the number one scorer that they wanted him to be, and let CJ just bring veteranship and maybe actually lead them in scoring, but not have to be the guy at the end of the game, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
do that, continue to have the confidence that they've had over the last month, and you're going to have to find a way to stop the Suns, particularly, because this is the hardest matchup they would have moving forward, in my opinion. stop the Suns from being the efficient team that they are, which is the easiest thing to say in the world and maybe the hardest thing to do. So it's an uphill battle for them, and that's how it is for the 8 seeds in general. But
Absolutely.
yeah, all right,
And then we
let's
move over to probably one of the best 7 seeds, and not even probably, one of the best 7 seeds ever
yeah,
in NBA history, the Brooklyn Nets. So,
no
shout
bias
out my
by the way,
boys. No bias,
no
no bias at
bias
all.
except a
Shout out
little
my
bit.
boys. We get the play-in game victory. We get the 7 seed. Cool. But they run into a very, very good defensive team in the Boston Celtics. In fact, the best rated defensive team in the NBA, the Boston Celtics. And from game one, it showed. It showed a lot. And that's going to be something that's going to be a problem with the Nets because KD got clamped.
Yeah,
I think he only
pretty
had
bad
about
too.
23 points.
Didn't shoot
And
efficiently.
and the only way this Brooklyn Net team makes a run is if you have KD and Kyrie playing at a phenomenal level because there's no better duo than that when they're at their highest. Those are two of the top scorers in the league.
Yep.
That's hard to stop. But just off of that, the Nets can't win a championship with just KD and Kyrie. It's not possible. They need their support cast to show up consistently. I don't want just one night like they did this game in game one, where you got 13 from Claxton, 14 from Dragic, Seth Curry, Drummond shows up, Bruce Brown. No, we need it every single night because unless those guys show up, the Nets aren't going to make it out of the first round.
Yeah,
They're not. Because this Boston Celtic team will clamp them down and cut down the Nets. Simple as that.
I
So,
love that. I like that. I like
and
that.
I hate to
Yeah,
say it. I hate
no,
to say it, but
and and it's a crazy thing too. Not to take your East too much, but I mean the Celtics in our preseason thing, we kind of called them dead in the water because they have just
yeah,
not gelled. It was a team
yeah,
that Brown and Tatum didn't really like. They worked together, but not with the rest of the team, and nobody else seemed to really want to be there. Besides, like maybe Marcus Smart, who might be Defensive Player of the Year this year. He was amazing,
yeah.
and Robert Williams really panned out. So they've had a lot of good things happen, especially after the calendar year changed. And I don't think I could have told you that the Celtics would be favored in a series versus the Nets.
Yeah.
If you told me that last whenever, last September, but that's kind of where we're at. And the Nets are up, or the Nets are down 1-0 early.
Off a
So.
crazy bet Jason Tatum spin move buzzer beater, just a circus shot. So it's like if you lose on that, it's tough. And the crazy thing with this series is you still got two wild cards looming with Robert Williams and Ben Simmons who
Yep.
can come back at any given moment. And what they bring you is unknown. Williams is coming off an injury. Ben Simmons coming off
Torn
an injury.
meniscus too. Not an easy injury for a center.
Yeah.
Keep
So
that in mind.
let's see what happens.
We'll see what happens. I do want to edit something real quick. The numbers I said in my Pelican stuff were wrong. I was looking at postseason numbers, but I still stand by every analytical point of it. Just the numbers were off. So I do want to point that out real quick. Going to the 7 seed in the West, the Minnesota Timberwolves. You mentioned that the Nets might be the best 7 seed we've ever seen, and I disagree because I think it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Nets have a lot of holes, right? They have two of the top 10 players in the world, two of the top 20, maybe 25 when you have Ben Simmons healthy and playing basketball, maybe not as a hobby. But but this Minnesota team is insanely deep. They have been bad for a long time. They have stockpiled draft picks. Most of them have flopped. But over the last couple of years, they've kind of figured it out a little bit. Karl Anthony Towns has blossomed into a elite big man scorer and an elite big man shooter to the likes we've almost never seen. It's like him and Dirk, and then there's a big gap between the next best shooters at the position. So
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns has been insane. He's almost averaging a double-double this year. He won the 3-point contest. This is the
Shout out.
best team in the league offensively. This is the best team in terms of pace of play in the league. This is the best team in transition points. And they have a top 10 defense with a whole bunch of young guys. They have 3 guys on the court at all times with Cat, Anthony Edwards, who's taken just an amazing step in year 2. And with D'Lo, who's almost been forgotten this year, um, that those guys can take over a game at any point in time. Karl Anthony Towns in the play-in game did not play well. He was awful, and they still won. D'Angelo Russell in game 1 versus Memphis was awful. He was not good. They still won. They are up 1-0 against Memphis, and I like the matchup between these two teams. I think Memphis is a better team because they are just like incredibly deep. I've never seen a team play 10 men 20 minutes each like Memphis. It's actually a little ridiculous. But yeah. Minnesota, if they can score at the clip that they've been doing, which is really hard in the playoffs, defense gets real tight. People start trying. But if they can score like they have all season, leading the league with their better than average defense, I don't see a reason why they couldn't win the championship. I think they're that scary when they're playing the offense that they can do. And if Anthony Edwards or Cat or D'Lo takes over a game, they have that guy that you can take over a game and win big games with. So I don't see why they can't do it. Malik Beasley took a great step. Patrick Beverley has never missed the playoffs, as he so confidently tells us every time he opens his mouth. I don't see why they couldn't do it. I think it's an uphill battle, but they definitely have the bits to do it. Way more of an upgrade over New Orleans in the last analysis.
Absolutely. And the only thing that stops them is like lack of playoff experience.
That's it.
That's literally the only thing, because you're right. You got Michael Jordan 2.0. So shout out the young boy Anthony Edwards, because that dude's a bucket. 36 in his first playoff game.
First ever playoff game, 36. What? Second
That,
most ever. I think Luka had the most with like 42 or 45 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw out the names, but they had a whole graphic pop up on the screen during that game, and the names.
Yeah.
So good company to be in.
Yeah, I like the Timberwolves. I really do. I don't know if they'll win it all. Yeah. But I like them, and they're fun. They're a fun team.
Now, the 6th seed, this is a team that I came into the preseason preview with, and I thought they were going to be good this year. And I was right. I hit the nail on the head with that. They were deep. But as the year kept on going on, the Chicago Bulls started just getting a little too fragile. They lose Lonzo Ball, which is the factor, for me at least, that I don't think that they'll make a deep run in the playoffs, because I do think this team is glued together by Lonzo. DeMar's great. Zach LaVine's great. Vooch is great. Kobe White off the bench, cool. That's where it starts getting a little thin.
Rough. Yeah.
So the only way they really make a deep run, if you got Michael Jordan 2.0 and 3.0, you gonna need the second coming and third coming with DeRozan and LaVine. They gonna have to play out of their mind for things to go their way. And they're in the lower half of defense in the whole league. They're 23rd in the league.
They don't.
That's not gonna be a good matchup, especially when they're going up against the Bucks. Yeah. That's not what you want to see. Yeah. Because who's stopping Giannis? Like, this game was closer than it was, but who's stopping Giannis? How? How are you getting out of the first round? I don't think you can. And unless they get a little more out of Caruso for, like, being a person, and then a lot more of being a basketball player on the court.
No, okay. But hype them up. Why are they winning the championship?
Second and third coming to Michael Jordan.
Okay.
LaVine and DeRozan, they have to play out of their mind.
Not DeRozan reverting back to his Toronto playoff days. Simple as that. And not Zach LaVine getting rubbed off on that. It's like
they can't fold. That's the only way.
No.
They can't fold. And unless those two lead them all the way to the chip, it's not happening.
Okay. It's fair enough. Yeah, they were a team that a lot of people were high on really early, and I was never, and so I'm kind of happy I stayed on that ship. But yeah, I mean, if DeRozan and LaVine are scoring 35 a game, each of them, like, and the rest of your team, we're literally asking the other 5 of you guys, because they'll probably play a 7 man rotation for most of it.
Yeah.
If the other 5 of you can get us 30 combined, please, and then maybe there's a chance. But that's asking a
And
lot
and
out
and
of a
that's
lot
a
of people.
that's the thing when you got Nikola being the leading scorer in game 1 and DeRozan and Levine scoring 18 apiece. That's
That's
not
not it.
enough.
Nah, that's not
That's
it.
not enough, bro. You can't do it. You can't do it, especially against the Bucks. And that's your gatekeeper right there. So, good
Yeah.
luck.
Good luck. I'm gonna move over back to the West. This is a team I am also incredibly high on, but would be higher on if they were healthy. And them not being healthy really does suck. Jamal Murray's still not back, but the Denver Nuggets, they're the 6th seed. Nikola Jokic is gonna win MVP again. There was a debate for a couple of weeks, right, leading up to the end of the season. People were like, "Oh, it should be Joel. Oh, it should be Giannis. Oh, it should be Jokic." Jokic is the reigning MVP. He had the best season of all time with player efficiency rating. I repeat, he had the best season of all time in terms of player efficiency rating. Brooklyn's heard me say that probably 20 times. It's because it's so ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
so ridiculous. He had a 32.94 player efficiency rating. That's better than a Wilt season where he averaged 50 points a game. It's gonna
Talk to him.
pause. Like,
Talk to him.
so this is the best player in the world right now. And you guys know I'm a LeBron guy. This is the best player in the world right now. And without him, this team would maybe be the worst in the West because they're missing MPJ. They're missing Jamal Murray. And it took Aaron Gordon 4 months to remember who he is. Right? But now we're heading into the playoffs. They had a good little run at the end of the season. They actually played very good basketball for the last month. Jokic, 27 a game. Aaron Gordon, throughout his last 20 games, was averaging at least 20. He scored 20 in his last 20, which is a giant boost for them. They really needed Aaron Gordon to, again, remember who he was. Will Barton had a great season as a second or third scorer. And they're going to need their depth because that's what Denver kind of always is. They're a team with a lot of depth to really elevate and not shrivel like they have in years past. And that's the problem with these teams with depth, right? Like, I think Memphis is going to have a problem with it. The Jazz we see every year have a problem with it. When you have a lot of guys that do a lot of contributions, those contributions get smaller in the playoffs because the guys that are on the court for the other teams are putting way more pressure. And when they're putting way more pressure and their lineups tighten up, and now you have to have Bryn Forbes going up against Donovan Mitchell because Donovan's playing all 48, it gets way harder. So, if Denver's going to win it all, they have a very tough matchup against the Warriors. But it's going to have to go through Jokic, right? They're going to have to find ways to make Jokic's job easier by having the guys around him make shots. And it's the simplest thing in the world, right? Basketball is so easy. Put the ball through the hoop, make your shots. But it really is that simple. If they can have their extra guys make shots so that Jokic isn't double teamed every time he touches the ball, they're going to win. It's that easy. If he gets double teamed because nobody's making shots, they're not going to win because he becomes less efficient. It's that easy. Let the efficiency guy be efficient.
Fair enough. And nobody's doing what Jokic is doing.
Ever. Not currently or ever. The best
At that size,
player efficiency rating of all time. I can't say it enough because it's so weird.
Yeah. At that size, with that bag, it's ridiculous.
He's fat.
Bro, you look at him and there should be no reason he does what he does. No reason.
Yeah.
But he does it at a high clip.
And what he did this season is pretty impressive too. He didn't do it to the extent that Giannis did it. I think it was in 2013. But in 2013, Giannis Antetokounmpo led the Milwaukee Bucks in literally every single stat. It was points, blocks, steals, rebounds, fouls, turnovers, and block. There's one more. But he led it in literally every stat, and I think Jokic almost did that this year. He led in steals, block.
I don't think the Bucks want to look back to 2013.
No, but like that was
No,
the bright spot that year.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this team is
Yeah.
terrible, but Giannis led in every stat, and
Yeah,
it's kind of what happened here with the Jokic. So, great stuff.
absolutely. Moving back over to the East, we got the Toronto Raptors. This seems interesting.
They're fun.
They're fun. They don't got anything top heavy that you look at them and
No.
it's like, all right, that guy is going to take us to where we need to be. They don't got that. And that's why they're going to need team basketball. That's the only way this team really, really goes above and beyond. Because without that, they don't have much of anything that's going to be able to get them to that point. But the thing that scares me now also, you're going up against this Philly team and B just stomped on Scotty's foot, and he's probably gonna be out game two. Who knows if he's out game three? Which if he is, this series is a wrap, unfortunately. But that's somebody you're gonna need. You're gonna need the young boy to show up, and he showed up also in game one with 15 points.
Yeah.
So
Rookie of the year,
shout out to the
baby.
young boy. You're gonna need Siakam. You're gonna need Van Vliet. Those are two guys that are gonna be the key factor with this whole thing. And then you also got somebody who didn't really show up in game one, Gary Trent Jr. He averaged 18.3 in the regular season. Scored 9 in game one. That's somebody else that's gonna be an X factor to this team. You add on top of that, you got everybody playing some high quality team basketball all across the board. The Raptors could make a spicy little run. We've seen it happen. They obviously had more star power with that.
They had Kawhi. They had Kyle Lowry.
They had
They had two Hall
they
of
had more
Famers
star
on that team.
they
Yeah.
had more star power.
Maybe three if
That's
you count
fine.
Gasol. Maybe.
That's fine. But now you go off just the nitty gritty. You use that experience, and now you try to fill that void with what you got. And if they manage to play as a unit, not play sloppy, score at a high clip, be able to stop what they need to stop, they could do something.
Yeah, I love this Raptors team, and I think they're going to be incredibly dangerous in coming years
Yeah,
when
they just need a little more.
they need a little bit more time. Scotty
Yeah,
needs like a year or two.
yeah.
Like, because Scotty Barnes will be the best player on this team come 2024. And if you have Scotty Barnes as the best player, and then Siakam, and then Fred, and then if Gary's still there, whatever other pieces you have, that
And
team is
then
very
insert
scary.
superstar that you hope that you get.
Yeah, that team is very scary. But
Yeah,
especially with Scotty not playing, it's gonna be tough. But they're the most athletic team I've ever seen, so it's fun. Let's go to the next one for me, the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are always just such an interesting team. They have three All Star caliber guys with Donnie, with Gobert, and with Mike Conley. Rudy Gobert is a bona fide superstar in this league. None of us accept it. None of us believe it. He just is. He's one of the best defensive players there have ever been in the history of the NBA. When he's on the court, they are a different team. It's just that simple. They are a different team. Um, I think it's just kind of got to go through him a little bit more. A lot of the offense runs through Mitchell. If you guys have watched the games this year, it runs fully through him, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Donovan had a fantastic year. I think it was the best season of his career so far, and I really just think there's like a disjoint and a disconnect between the stars on this team. I'm sure everybody's seen that Donovan Mitchell doesn't pass the ball, the Rudy Gobert thing that kind of went around. There were random clips. They were kind of taken out of context clips, but it is kind of true if you guys watch these games. Rudy Gobert could score more than the 15 or 16 he does a game. And I would like to see him do that. I don't think him scoring 20 a game is unrealistic, and for him to continue the defense he does. And so what I want out of the Jazz is to run the offense just a little bit more through Rudy Gobert because it slows it down a little bit. I think they benefit more as a good defensive team from slowing the game down a little bit. Especially when you're playing the Mavericks, right? I don't think this matchup's going to be crazy hard for them, especially if Luka's not playing for another game or two. Make sure you beat the Mavericks without Luka. Let's just do that. Because if they lose game two with Luka not on the court, then we have a whole different conversation to go through. But if they can slow the game down a little bit, play the offense that they want as a team and not just what Donovan kind of wants as an emotional leader, I think this team is fantastic. They have great shooting. Bogdanovich has been fantastic this year. Jordan Clarkson has honestly just emerged as a bona fide scorer off the bench. Like he is one of those like bench guys that you give it to and he just runs it. He's J.R. Smith without the drunkenness. And prime JR. I don't know. This team, they have a lot of really good things going for them. They just kind of need those things to be on the same page, and I don't think they will be. I think they're a second round exit. I would love to see Utah one day actually take a step forward. I don't know if that means getting rid of Mitchell. I don't know if that means getting rid of Gobert, which I would never do. But there's a
It's also unacceptable that Rudy only got one attempt up and scored 5 points.
Yeah, they did win. Game. They did win. But again, there's a disjoint there.
There's a disjoint. And that's fine. And I agree. But it's unacceptable. You can't have that. And obviously it won't.
Because he's their best player. I don't care about Donovan Mitchell. Yeah.
I love me some Spider. I love me some Spider.
Fantastic. But Rudy Gobert is the best player on this team. It's not even particularly close. So he got to score. And that's what's crazy. Like, he's still the best player on the court, and he could score 5 points, and they win a game. Like, that's how important and impactful he is. But we need closer to 20, Rudy. Let's get some shots up.
That's the thing. Only one shot?
Let's get some shots up. Let's give me 11. I'll take a 60% shooting with 11 shots up. That sounds amazing to me.
That's fine, because he got you 17 boards, so
yeah.
You got to think at least a couple of those are going to be putbacks, so
yes, sir.
Shout out. Now we move over to the 4 seed in the East, the Philadelphia 76ers. This team, they got Embiid. That says a lot about a team right there, because Embiid is an absolute monster. And then they go ahead and add James Harden during the season in the trade. Now, James has not shot well to end the season at all. I think the last 10, 15 games. I don't know who said it on I think First Take, but they're like, he's putting up, I think it was Jalen Rose, putting up tour date numbers. Like 4 for 13, 4 for 17, 5 for 11, like putting up tour date numbers.
As long as we're not talking like January 31st, like as long as we're not
there was a couple that were bad. But he still ends up having a good number at the end of the game, though, because he gets to the line. And I mean, that's fine and that's great in the playoffs. Get to the line, hit your shots. James is going to hit those shots. Yeah. There's no question about that. But we need him to shoot consistently from the field, too. You can't depend on getting to the line, because you never know how the refs are going to be any given night. You never know. And in the playoffs, they're probably going to be a little more strict, so you might not be getting there as much. So you're going to have to shoot at a high clip. And then you also can't depend on Tyrese Maxey to drop 38 points when...
He looks fantastic, by the way.
He looks amazing. But Harden and Embiid putting up 22 and 19, they still won.
That's not cutting it, though.
That's not cutting it.
That's not winning a championship.
No, not at all. Because, I mean, they got the pieces. You got Maxey, Harris, Shake Milton, Thibault. They're there. And then you also got Thibault that's only going to be here for
I was going to say Thibault that's here for half the series, yeah.
Yeah, so... But, I mean... Embiid's going to have to play as an MVP, like he
almost has. Yeah, almost has.
Yeah. You're going to have to do
second
that.
Place in the MVP race twice in a row.
Yeah, play like that. That's fine.
Play like that. That's really good.
That's
not
incredible,
shade.
actually.
That's not shade. That's really good.
No. That's fine. I mean, Harden just got to hit the shots. You're one of the best three-point shooters of all time. I think he's,
third.
5 on the list?
I thought it was third already. He might be
third.
5. It's something like that. He's.
It might be third. I think it's third. Yeah, I think you're right. You got to hit those shots. Yeah. You got to. You can't depend on getting to the line, even though you're going to hit it. But you can't depend on getting to the line 10, 15 times and being able to get 12, 13 points from there. That's not going to cut it at all. Because if you're shut down there and you're only putting up, let's say, 15 from the field, You guys aren't winning a championship. So James Harden and Joel Embiid gotta play like the insane duo that they could be. This duo could be one of the best in the NBA that we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
If they're playing at their top highest potential. They are that scary. They were that scary before they were even on the floor together. So play like that.
Yep.
Play like you guys want a chip. Play like James wanted to be somewhere that he wanted to win a championship around people that want to win. Okay, play like that. Show everybody. Do it. Joel Embiid, don't be crying in the locker room. Do it. Win it. Do it.
Yeah, no more tears. Win.
No.
Because he cries every year after they lose, and I love that. I think that's cool. Like
I love it.
A lot of people don't like it. I thought it was funny after like the Kawhi shot because like damn, that's crazy. Yeah. But like, I'm happy he does it. Like he shows emotion. He wants to win. But like, don't do it this year. Don't cry. You know why?
You got your guy. Yeah, you got your guy. Do it.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
There's no excuse. No excuse. We're hopping over to the Dallas Mavericks. What are they? The 4 seed. First thing, this is how they win a championship. Get a healer from like World of Warcraft, bring it to Luka's room, put the dust on him, conjure the cauldron, pour the potion, make him drink it, whatever it takes, and syringe him up. I don't care what it takes. Get him 2 minis and a big pot. Like I don't care what it takes to get this man healthy, but get this man healthy. I'm happy you like that. Because if there's no Luka Doncic, who's maybe, like I know I've said that Jokic is the best player in the world right now, and he certainly is. Luka's maybe 4th, right? It might be like the 3 big men, and then Luka, and then LeBron. Like it might be that. Something like that. Like obviously that's a different conversation, but he's up there. Like this is that guy. He is that guy. And so you're not winning it without him. You're just not. Obviously, hold down the fort until he's back. You would love to win a game against the Jazz without him. I think it's possible. Jalen Brunson has been fantastic this year. Dinwiddie has been a strange piece that's like surprisingly worked out for this team.
Dinwiddie's a good
he's a good player,
man.
The trade never made sense to me because like they had Jalen Brunson, so it's like, are you getting this guy to start or like they didn't? So like he's been off the bench. He's been fantastic.
That's what Dinwiddie is.
This team can only run a 7-man rotation at best, right? That's the issue with this team. Like, you don't want Max Kleber to be playing more than 15 minutes. And Max was cool. He's been a nice little big man. He is not a playoff basketball player currently. He's just not. So this team has to run a 5-6-man rotation. And when you're running a 5-6-man rotation without Luka, it gets that much more difficult. But it might be a blessing in disguise. If this team can figure it out, play Utah, win a game or two, wait for Luka to come back, but by the time Luka's back, Kristaps is shooting 60%, scoring 22 a game. Jalen Brunson is playing that fantastic 3-and-D that he does, and he's running a point guard, and he feels confident running the point guard against really good guys like Donovan, like Rudy Gobert, and having to splice up a defense like that. This team could be something. You go in with some confidence, you get the best player on your team back, and then you take the strides, right? That's how they're going to have to do it. It's going to have to be the confidence from the other guys. It's going to have to be Luka comes back and doesn't feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. And that's the only way this is possible. We talked kind of numbers with DeMar and what's his name? Zach LaVine over there. You're going to need 20. You need 50 points out of Dinwiddie, Brunson, Kristaps. You need 50 every game.
Where are you getting the points from Kristaps?
Oh, he's not. Yeah. Yeah.
You Amazon priming them overnight from Washington?
You got to, bro. You got to. He's not even on this team. I'm like, what? I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, no.
That's why I was making the face. I was letting you run through it.
But like, you got, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to get these points out of.
You're right, though.
You have to do it, and they're a small team, which kind of works out because again they held Gobert to 5 points, so they're a tiny team. Like this, they do not have a lot of size. Um, Again, another reason why this Dinwiddie trade was so odd. They give up Kristaps for Dinwiddie, um, and they needed size. Like this team has needed a center, like an actual center,
Yeah.
because Luka's like their third tallest guy, and he's their point guard.
Which
Um,
is odd that they got rid of Kristaps.
yeah,
It never
again,
made sense to me. But your point of with Brunson, Dinwiddie, and Kristaps needing 50, that just makes it all the more harder when they don't have
when they
Kristaps.
don't have Kristaps, and now
So now
you
you
gotta
need 50 out of Brunson and Dinwiddie.
and you needed that of like Tim Hardaway, who's like the streakiest dude of all time, and Reggie Bullock had an awful season. Like he was just bad. He's still playing good defense, but he's just bad. Um, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know where to. I don't. That's the thing. I don't know where the scoring is coming from this team.
And then you need
Without,
Tim Hardaway on the court.
yeah, it's like
So there's exhibit B of
this team.
issues.
I don't like this team. That's kind of where it comes down to. I'm more down on this team than I am on the Pelicans, if that says anything. So
No.
get Luka to
So
magic dust, whatever that means to you. Don't care.
there's a couple different ones.
All of them. Conjure them up, put them in a baggie.
Oh no.
Throw them in the air at Coachella and let them just frolic.
Yeah. But getting back over to the East, I'm gonna make this one quick. The Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis, Giannis and friends. Simple as that. Giannis plays the way Giannis can play, and you got Middleton and the boys showing up. You get Lopez and Drew Holiday to do what they do, and Bobby Portis. This team is scary.
Very scary. If Chris Middleton plays like Game 7 Chris Middleton, how do they lose?
How do they lose? So I really don't have much to say about them because Giannis is that impactful of a player, and they have the pieces. Yeah. This team, they're starting five.
They got better, and they won the championship last year. They got better.
So, go Bucks.
Yeah, go Bucks. Yeah. Do I choose the same path as you with this next team? No, I won't. But number 3 seed in the West, Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, this one's a little bit different.
This one's a little bit different. They have the most championship pedigree of everybody left. Obviously, they had a dynasty that ended and is almost kind of back. It took like a break. It was like when Jordan went to go play baseball, type of a deal. Potentially. They have the best shooter of all time. He had a pretty good year. He kind of fought some injuries, right? Steph didn't play the end of the season for the most part.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about that is Jordan Poole came in, got snubbed on the most improved player. It's because the whole season he wasn't the most improved player, so that's fine. If you told me he won it, I'd agree. If you told me he was left off, I'm like, yeah, it took until the end of January for this to start happening. But he went from a G League player, imagine, a G League player last year that spent time at both sides to the second scoring option on the 3 seed in the West. And that is incredibly important because Klay is still kind of recovering. He's been significantly better down the stretch, right? You miss time with Steph. You miss time with Draymond. The team struggled without their time with Draymond. So first thing to make them win the championship is don't let Draymond tech out of games and don't let him get hurt. I know that's the way every team is. Don't let your third best player get hurt, but like it's true. Like
it's common sense, but you got to do it.
It's common sense, but Draymond is a guy who gets technical. So like let's not get him thrown out of games. Let's keep him in the whole time, and they'll be okay. And just here's how the Warriors win it, though, right? Steph's gonna do Steph, and if Steph goes and does super Steph, then like watch out. But you're gonna need Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins to showed that the regular season wasn't a fluke. That's the true part, right? Andrew Wiggins had just a turnaround year. He was an all-star this year. He has played just incredible defense. He has become unselfish. He takes good shot selection. He doesn't need to score. Andrew Wiggins, baller. Happy for you. I really am. Kansas legend. And then Jordan Poole, again, came out of nowhere. Not nowhere. We all knew he had a good shot coming out of Michigan, but it took a little bit to really develop it. It took him watching the best to ever do it in the gym, turn around, like give a high five to a kid as the shot's going in and shimmy. It took that for him to get to where he is now. They're going to run a short rotation, as they tend to do in the playoffs. Stay healthy and show that the efficiency from Wiggins and Poole wasn't a fluke. If they can do that, I don't see any reason that they can't continue the dynasty that they started. I don't see any reason.
I'm not mad at that at all. Simple as that. You got you got some of the best.
Yeah.
And you look at this team and it's there.
Yeah.
They just got to perform.
Got to do it.
Do it. Just like the Boston Celtics need to keep on doing what they're doing on the defensive end because they're first in the league when it comes to defensive rating. Run that. Feed off of that because that's what's going to win you a championship. Right there. Defense wins championships, and you're one of the best teams at it. So continue to do that. And then you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown doing what they do, playing at a high clip, as they could. The thing that this team is going to need, though, is size. They need Robert Williams to come back because once they run up against Milwaukee, if they beat Brooklyn, once they beat Milwaukee, if that happens, and they go up against Philly if they make it all the way through, they're going to need size. And Robert Williams is where it's going to come from because Daniel Theis and Grant Williams.
Grant Williams had a good year. He's had a good year.
He has. And Al Horford missing that step, being an old man, ain't going to help you. Even though he tried to put up a oop and that man. that was rough. So they're going to need Big Rob to come back, be a force, give them that extra size. But defense is what's going to win them the chip. And that's what they have to stand on. That's what they have to ride off into the sunset and make that little leprechaun dance.
Do my little dancey dance. Jason Tatum has to play like a superstar the whole way through as well.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying.
But like
Tatum and Brown need to play at the high clip that they need to play.
Yeah. There's no reason that they won't, but they have to. They've never shown like the yips in the playoffs, at least from the games I've watched. Like they've never shown it.
So. No, they're ballers.
Yeah, they're
ballers
crazy.
and they're cold, and they could do it. So.
Yeah, I mean they're the 2 seed for a reason. Like they played so insanely well. Just ride that momentum that you've had from the new year. And the only team that's been better is the Suns. So collision course ? Number 2 seed in the West. I think everybody and their mother is surprised that this is the 2 seed in the West. I think everybody knew Memphis was going to be better. Like they were a play-in team last year. They have a young core. They got all the nonsense out of the way. I remember a couple of years ago when Iguodala forced a trade there and then forced a trade out. There was a quote from Dylan Brooks and it was like, listen, he wasn't on our wavelength. He didn't see what the young guys saw. So that's fine. Get him out of here. We don't want him. And I remember at the time people were like, how could you say that about an NBA champion, about a veteran? And, you know, there's some truth to that. But what he did there was kind of messed up where he got there and then just refused to play. It was weird. So you get him out of there, which I think actually really helped this team. Like, it was like a galvanizing point. They're like, hey, look at that. We actually have haters within the program. Let's get them out and show that we believe in this. And the young guys have been incredible, right? Desmond Bane won't win Most Improved, but he's been fantastic. You know why? Because John Morant's going to win Most Improved. Because John Morant, it's crazy to think that a number 2 overall pick has been overlooked, right?
Yeah.
But there was so much hype with Zion that Ja kind of not fell under the radar, but a little bit, right? And then he started playing, and he was showing how athletic he was. And we're like, wait, that guy's really fun. But now this guy's just really good. And all the Derrick Rose comparisons are completely merited. He is just the real deal. The thing that's crazy about the Grizzlies, though, they continue to be fantastic without Ja. He was out for a good amount of time. And they continue to be fantastic without him because they are a top 10 offensive and defensive efficiency team, offensive and defensive rating team. It's because they're deep. Again, I said it earlier. They run a 10-man rotation where 10 guys get 20 minutes a game. 10 different guys get 20 minutes a game. It's kind of unreal. Jaren Jackson might be Defensive Player of the Year. He's just blossomed this year. Again, Dylan Brooks has been really, really good. Desmond Bane has shown that he can run an offense without Ja. Tyus Jones just doesn't turn the ball over. Like, they have a lot of guys that do a lot of little things. I saw a ridiculous take the other day, and I was like, and I didn't hate it, but I did hate it, where they're like, I would take Tyus Jones over Russell Westbrook, and I'm like, no, but yes, because he doesn't turn it over. He also doesn't play, so it's not like hurting. I don't know. It was weird. I don't agree. But Memphis is really good. He's
that.
I hate, right? It's terrible. It's terrible. But I mean, Steven Adams is like their 9th guy on the depth chart. Steven Adams, an incredible defender and a rim runner, and they're really deep, man, and they're young and they're hungry. And they have a really tough matchup with what I said was the best 7 seed I've almost ever seen with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And they're going to have a tough time stopping them from scoring, as shown in game 1. But if this team can just still play a deep rotation and still get these same contributions from everybody, add Ja back to the mix, and just continue to not have a one-man show where Ja's trying to do it all, they are very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Yeah. Same thing I said with Gobert, though. Steven Adams scoring 0 in 24 minutes.
I mean, that's fine. Again, it's the rotation. Like, he's not even there to score, like, at all. So it's like fine.
That's fine, though.
You want
0
points from him, but it's fine. Like, you don't
can't do that.
You don't
And back to the Iguodala thing real quick. It's kind of funny because they got that veteran leadership of what not to do.
Yeah.
They saw that, and they're like, cool. They just flipped the script on everything, and the young guys were like, bet. They looked at that, they went the other way, and look at where they brought them.
Yeah, they're going to be good for a long time. They just will.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
without a doubt, especially if they keep like the core together and they
yeah,
keep
I mean,
on riding off
you
that.
keep Bane, Brooks, Morant, and Jackson, and you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving over to the 305, the number 1 seed, Miami Heat. I kind of have the same notes for them as I do with the Celtics. They're a really good defensive team. They're number 4. That's what got them to this point. Keep on doing it and keep on riding off of that. I'm pretty much just gonna be a parrot on this, just switching it up. But when it comes to the size, Bam is gonna have to bang with the big bodies. That's one thing that's gonna be a big factor when it comes down to these bigger teams. Bam is gonna have to bang because Deadman, I mean, he plays big minutes, but Bam is where you're gonna get majority of your offensive efficiency from. And then Jimmy Butler, the weirdest superstar.
Please be efficient, Jimmy.
In the league.
Yeah.
The weirdest superstar in the league. We need to see him just bent over on the little table, exhausted, giving it his all.
Yeah.
Because if we're not seeing that Jimmy, if we're not seeing him putting it all out on the court and scoring and leading this team and being dominant and defensive and doing it all, they can't do it. They can't do it. But I do think that they can if Jimmy performs. Because, I mean, you even look at Duncan Robinson. He showed up, gave them 27. PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry, Bam, Hero. Like, they got ballers on the team that they could make a deep run without a fact. Play defense, make Jimmy lead you, bang with the big bodies for Bam, and they got a chip.
This
easily.
Heat team is better than the one that went to the finals 2 years ago.
Yeah,
They're better. I think Jimmy's a worse player though than he was. That that scares me.
that's why I say weirdest superstar in the league.
Yeah.
Cause like he's great. Jimmy's a star, but he's not always sparkling.
There's something about the one seeds in the East that we just never like. I never, when a team's a one seed in the East, I look at them like, I'm good. Like every year. The
Because
Hawks
it's
did it a
usually
couple
like,
times. Like,
why are they there? What happened with the other teams that made you guys get there? Boston could be a one seed. They started their run too late. Brooklyn was the one seed. They got hurt. They fell all the way to the bottom of the barrel. Chicago, they fell off. Like
Milwaukee just like
they
kind of
kind of just
hasn't
been
tried.
floating.
They've been
Yeah.
vibing. They've been vibing, just waiting for the playoffs. Like,
So it's like that's why you guys are there. You guys could easily be a 2 through 5 seed.
yeah,
Easily.
yeah.
Philly could have been higher. Milwaukee, Toronto, like so that's why we always kind of just look at it and it's like, all right,
And
nice,
yeah,
but
they're falling victim to what I discussed earlier with Denver and Utah. In team basketball isn't overly successful in the playoffs when you don't have like true dominance, right? Like team basketball worked really well for the Warriors because they had two top 5 players in the world.
yeah.
And then like a top 15 player with Clay. So it's like that
That's why I'm
works.
worried about. That's why I'm worried about the Raptors.
Yeah, exactly. Like team basketball is really cool in the regular season, but it doesn't always translate, and that's the scary part about the Heat.
Yep.
But you know, bouncing off that team basketball, this is the reigning West champions.
Talk to me.
This is team basketball right here, and this is the best version of it. And without that top 15 talent, I think Devin Booker is probably a top 15, somewhere around that. Especially
I would
now,
have
we have.
never. I would have never heard you say that.
Hey, I said probably. If I wasn't me, I would have said definitely. So, um, Devin Booker was really good this year. Again, he's still not the best player on this team, which is crazy to me. Like he's still not. It's still Chris Paul. Uh, don't ask me how. Chris Paul is just like the ageless wonder who just makes things move a little bit quicker. It's like in like a NASCAR race. It's like all the cars technically go the same, but it's like this one dude in the pit got that thing on him, and he's, you know what I'm saying. So the Phoenix Suns are just incredible. Mikal Bridges has been just a improvement. He is so fun to watch. Cam Johnson found his shot. Again, we talked about it earlier in the year, but like Cam Johnson was like overlooked because he doesn't have like a crazy high ceiling. But when he was drafted, he was NBA ready. So it was like, why are we concerned about this? He is exactly what we thought he would be, a really, really good shooter. And he's tall and he can dribble a little bit. Like, why are we upset that he isn't going to potentially be Michael Jordan? Like, let him be a really good shooter. And he is. He's a great shooter. DeAndre Ayton has still played that role. I mean, it's really cool to see a center not demand to be the guy when you are a guy like Ayton who 20 years ago would have just been Dwight Howard too, right? But he's not demanding it. He's, again, almost overlooked on this team. Like, he might be their 4th or 5th scoring option, and that's fine with him. It's kind of crazy. Like, he scores more than some of the other guys, but crunch time, he might not even be on the court because of his foul shooting. So it's like, this team is deep, and they're all bought in. And if you watch any of the clips, they are dancing and enjoying themselves and really like playing with each other. They're FaceTiming Chris Paul, calling him an old man, that he got arthritis and all that. And the man's hurt. He was hurt. They were making fun of him.
And the man drops 30 with 10 assists and 7 rebounds.
That's the crazy thing about Chris Paul, right? Again, I said he's still the best player on his team. It's because come right now, the only time Chris Paul has ever not been good in the playoffs is when he's not on the court, which happened a lot. He's gotten hurt quite a few times in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it happened last year. Like, he got hurt in the playoffs. Like, it's what it is, and he wasn't there, and they struggled. And When he's not there in the playoffs, it is different. They were fantastic without him in the regular season, but we need Chris Paul to stay healthy. If Chris Paul is healthy, there's not a single reason in the world they won't go back to the finals, and they should be the favorite to win it all. I don't see any other team that's deeper. I don't see any team that's better. There's plenty of teams with higher talent on the top end, but not as distributed and not as bought in. This team is bought in. And they're the
Yeah,
best coach
that's a
team in the
fact.
league, by the way.
Yeah, no argument there.
So yeah, let Devin Booker cook. Let him be the second best player, and we're vibing. They're honestly they're cruising. I really think they won't have an issue.
There's two teams I look at on both sides that I have no worries about, and it's
What,
the
the Bucks and the
Suns,
Suns?
Bucks and the Suns.
Yeah.
I look at both of
I think we get
them.
a rematch in the finals last year. I
Yeah,
don't
like I look at both of them, and like there's not really much that I can nitpick on them.
no.
Like everybody else, there's a reason why they could. There's a reason why they can't. I mean, of course, there's a reason why they can't.
Yeah.
You don't play basketball. Nice. Somebody gets hurt. Nice. That's fine. But the reasons that they could far outweigh any other reason that any other team in the league right now can. So
Yeah,
they're solid. They're dangerous.
the Suns are
They're
fun,
scary.
man. The Suns are fun.
They are, man.
And they're a fourth quarter team. The crazy thing about the Suns, they're down like 10 at the half, like 40% of their games, and then they win by 25.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
stupid. Like every time I watch a Suns game, I see them down like 8. And then like they just flip it on. Reminds me of the Warriors from like 2016, where it's like they were a third quarter team, that Warriors team. This is a fourth quarter team, so it's just like if you're not up 25, like good luck.
You look at their like 8-man rotation that they run, and there's not a hole anywhere in there. It's scary.
It helps when you have guys playing like the best ball of their career, right? Cameron Payne was a career backup.
I mean, hey, that's how you
Playing
get to where you need to
fantastic
get.
basketball. Fantastic basketball.
Yeah.
With just underrated Pat Beverly-esque energy without like the black Air Forces. Like Cameron Payne is like soft boy Patrick Beverly. Like he's like grew up in an affluent area, Patrick Beverly. he went to a private high school, Patrick Beverly type of deal, right? Like that's what it feels like.
Pat Bev is a whole nother.
He's a demon.
But I mean, that's what you need. You need that guy on your team. You need
Yeah.
him. So,
Yeah.
shout out Pat Bev.
Shout out Pat Bev. I'm right there with you though. I think the Suns and the Bucks are the teams that are
Yeah,
you're
easily.
looking at. I think 6 of the teams in the West could make it though, which is fun. I think probably 3 teams in the East could realistically make it.
What's your unexpected runner on each side that can make a run?
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves.
I think the Timberwolves are way better than a 7 seed. I think the Timberwolves are maybe better than Memphis as a playoff team, not as an actual team, but as a playoff team. And if Minnesota's as scoring as efficiently as they do, which again is harder in the playoffs because defenses get better, but if they're scoring the way that they score, there's like the only 2 teams that are still better are the Suns and the Bucks. So
Yeah.
it's a bold take too. I've seen a couple people saying that the Timberwolves are going to beat Memphis. I don't even know if they will, but like if they beat Memphis, I really like them moving forward.
I like them over Denver.
Oh
And
yeah.
then, I mean, the Warriors, it's just a shootout. So can you outshoot them? Maybe.
I don't know.
Like, it's a maybe.
Yeah, I have no idea.
do the Warriors forget where the rim is?
Yeah.
If they do, you move on.
You know what part of it is with the Suns too? I said it when I mentioned New Orleans. New Orleans just isn't going to beat them, right? So they're going to beat
No.
they're going to beat the Suns are going to win that, and then they get the Dallas Mavericks, the hobbled Mavericks, or like the Jazz, and they're going to win that like pretty comfortably. So
No
it's just
worries
like,
about
well,
that.
now who are you playing in the conference finals? Are you playing Memphis? Are you playing Minnesota? Are you playing Denver? Playing the Warriors? That's going to be your toughest matchup. And it depends on who they play. Like, if they play Denver, I'm not worried. If they play the other three, it could be fun.
Yeah. And that's the thing, fun. Is it scary?
No.
It's scary if they maybe play Golden State.
Yeah.
And then if the T-Wolves make it that far,
If
then
the if the if the
playing
Timberwolves
and
are
they're playing the
in,
best
yeah,
basketball ever.
yeah, if they're in the conference finals, I'm terrified of them.
Because they're playing the best basketball ever that they ever played. And
That's
now
the
it's
only
like,
reason I say make a run. Like, if they're
Yeah.
clicking, they're like actually incredibly scary.
Yeah.
So, that's all. But yeah, those are our previews for the East and the West. That's what those teams are going to need to do. I'm sure there's plenty more. Again, injuries. There's a bunch of little things, right? Matchups are crazy important as well. But this is in a perfect world. This is how you win it. Got any final thoughts here, Brick? Go Brooklyn, baby.
Nets.
Go Nets. I got no horse in the race, so everybody have fun.
I had a very stressful Easter.
It's gonna be a stressful week. Yeah, it'll be a rough rest of the week. It'll hopefully not go 7 for you, but I hope it goes 7 for me.
I wanted to go 7 though.
No, you don't.
I
No, you don't. As a basketball fan, you do, but no, you don't.
I'm a basketball fan.
Fair enough. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you watch all the games. We got an amazing month and a half, 2 months of basketball coming up. We'll be breaking it down. We'll be breaking down the MLB and all the other sports news that you guys need to know. Make sure you follow us at _the spectators on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're posting. We're going hard on TikTok from now on, I promise. We're going to get some of these clips on there. So if you didn't watch the episode before, now you're seeing this after you saw the TikTok, welcome. I love you. You're beautiful. Yeah, so make sure you guys are all tuned into that. Make sure you sub on YouTube if this is where you're watching it. And we'll be back next week with more of The Spectators. Later, everybody.
Peace.